Guten Morgen, my dear friends and family. Operator Starsky joined the chat together with my good friend Sophia from Kiev. Hello, hello, Sophia. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm great. Thank you so much.
Everything's fine. How's things on the other side of the screen?
Yeah, things are good. Last night we had some bombings, but and they promised some blackouts around Ukraine, but so far so good. Light is present, power is here. So yeah, let's start.
All right, let's start. My dear friends, we have Ali in the chat providing us security guarantees, as always. Also, Martin13. Hello, my dear friends. Hello and much love to beautiful Netherlands. And also, we have David and Reg Woohoo and Newman, King Jimmy and Extelis. So nice to see you, my friends. Patskuli, Valhermes, Matias. My dear friends, it's always good to see you. Also, Brigitte and Tom Trump and Michael Patterson. All right, so Sir Shom also joined us, all right, and Steve. Um, so the gang is here. Let's start. I think first of all, Sophia, tell us what's generally the situation with the blackouts. Larry and Goldfingers and I need coffee. I need coffee too. Frankly speaking, I'm so and by the way, if you take a closer look at this cup, all right. Yeah, this is a very canonical Ukrainian cup, by the way, brought to me by beautiful and amazing Angelika Bayer. So, how's the situation with the blackouts in Kiev generally? How often do you have electricity shortages?
Well, to be honest, we didn't have like major blackouts since I would say July. Okay, like last night there were some bombings, but as I say, so far so good. A week ago, like a few days ago, there was some major air raid, but we only had like a full day of disruption. Yeah, like otherwise it was fine. It's still fine, and I hope it's gonna, keep it up this way.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good. Oh, all right. So, guys, I woke up several hours ago. I did a lot of things, but I'm still so freaking sleepy. I have no idea what to do. But today we have some good updates that we will start with. So first of all, you see this. Sophia, how do you think when this Russian aircraft, and we're talking about IL-20, was built approximately? Like,
Well, it definitely looks like an old one. I had a colleague back in the airport, and he used to fly IL-18. So these are actually, yeah, these are smaller, let's say, aircrafts, and they're very, very old. I'm not sure if commercial airlines even handle this aircrafts anymore. I don't think so.
looking at it, looking at the complete absence of modern things like I don't know sharklets and things like that, and generally, wait, I gotta do this. IL-20. All right, we gotta before we switch to this update, let's check this out. So it was first introduced in 1969, which is approximately 60, wait, 56 years ago or something like that, which was developed, by the way, from IL-18. So
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
basically, this Russian aircraft used as a reconnaissance aircraft by the Russian Cosmic Forces was actually intercepted yesterday over the Baltic Sea by the operative command of the Polish armed forces. According to their information, Russian aircraft was conducting reconnaissance over the Baltic Sea, and this aircraft had absolutely zero flight plan prepared, and of course, zero transponder was working. All right, they were flying with the transponder turned off. So Polish troops scrambled their aircraft. They intercepted this one. Unfortunately, not a single Russian pilot became a better person, but we will see. Maybe things will change in the future because generally, yesterday there are so many. There are so many statements made by both Russia and United States. We can see that both countries are entering the new stage of the arms race, which by the way, is extremely dangerous for one specific person on planet Earth, Joe Rogan. I can already see his face literally screaming in the emptiness, "We will all die." What do you think about Joe Rogan, by the way? Did you ever follow him?
No, no, never. I'm not really familiar with what he does, to be honest. But arm race is like the something from Futurama, right? That's definitely when, like you said, like we're gonna die, like we're doomed, all these like nuclear arms that is being developed all the time, and it leads to catastrophe.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that is actually threatening is that we can see that Russia is single-handedly exits all sorts of agreements that were previously made with the United States regarding the limits on the nuclear weaponry and things like that.
Well, you
Still,
you wanna hear my opinion? Like purely personal opinion, okay? Kitchen opinion, you can say so. Um, to be brutally honest, I'm not sure that Russia has something significant to call nuclear weapon, and that forbid to use it. I don't think so. I can explain. I can explain. Basically, to like, considering situation in Russia since 1992, yeah, and the fact that nuclear weapon and other things of nuclear related things, they require very strict conditions of handling and storage, okay, and refresh in terms of maintenance and everything. I really, really doubt they have nuclear weapon in the scale they pretend they do. I doubt that. Maybe they have something. It's like I actually write this abbreviation, but you understand that these are web crumbles, right? This is nothing. This is not what they call a red button. Like, and that's the thing. You see, they don't show it. They just keep saying that, hey, we have something. Okay, but the moment when the nuclear submarine uh, belonged to America, like turned around to the direction of Russia, they immediately panic because they know they don't have anything to reply with. Like, like symmetrical reply, like they say, symmetric response. Yeah, they don't have anything for that. So that's a mere opinion.
yeah, and this is something that I was talking about. For example, the budget of Russia that is spent on upkeeping its nuclear weapons is only a tiny, tiny fraction of the money that, for example, United States spend on their nuclear weapons to upkeep them and stuff, to maintain and service them. And at the same time, Russia has the biggest number of nuclear weapons in the world. So how is it possible? Of course, I don't know. Like, of course, imagination immediately, draws some kind of Dядя Afanasy literally storing a bunch of like nuclear warheads in his barn or something like that, among like chicken and goats, eating
Yeah.
straw. But most probably this is what it looks like. I mean, not not realistically, but
Yeah, yeah,
abstractly.
yeah. We're just speculating, and basically, that's the funniest part, right? Like, I believe they have nuclear weapon. Like something they have, yeah. But again, the conditions which are required for this kind of storage and maintenance and handling and everything. Like I'm a chemist, yeah. So I should know this, and I do not believe they have like everything what they say they do.
Absolutely. So we already have our little Russian fans who shout in scroll log there in the chat regarding the Pokrovsk cauldron. 1,000 millions of Ukrainians encircled in this tiny little town of Pokrovsk that Russia is trying to take over the past years, all right, and they are constantly failing. I believe the first time I've heard about the Pokrovsk so-called cauldron approximately in late 2023, all right? That was basically 2 years ago. And since the time, they constantly keep taking Pokrovsk. And Pokrovsk, by the
Yeah.
way, if we take a look at the data, all right?
Mm. Keep taking it.
Let's learn a bit about this huge fucking megapolis. So Pokrovsk was established in 1880. Thank you very much, my dear. I don't know if I can donate at this time. Please stop. Get away from the screen. Oh my God, how did it happen? Yeah, there it is. So Pokrovsk. The population of Pokrovsk is staggering 7,000 people, which is probably bigger than, I don't know, living in this neighborhood. The size of Pokrovsk is approximately 30 square kilometers, all right? That is just fucking amazing. Russia is sending numerous meat waves, literally burning thousands of healthy Russian men on a daily basis, trying to take a town that is literally, like just a big village. With a population of 7,000 people as of January 2025. And you see people in Russia literally celebrating the fact that it was not taken yet, all right? They are celebrating the very fact that the mighty Russian Empire that didn't manage to take even a single major city in Ukraine in the course of 4 years is kinda doing something in Pokrovsk, sending all of their troops, sending several hundred tanks that they managed to find and drag from the storages, burning numerous donkeys. Of course, I feel pity for those animals. I don't know, riding horses into the cavalry attacks. And still we see that Pokrovsk is not taken. The situation, of course, is hard in this area. And I would really like to hear opinion of some of the Russian widows, for example, Russian mothers who lost their Russian soldiers that were sent into a meat assault in Pokrovsk. I'm sure they would literally join us there in the chat, celebrating finally. My only son was brought to a completely foreign country and died for nothing because he was trying to take this amazing, huge town of Pokrovsk with population of 7,000 people.
Yeah, famous town, famous town.
What's your opinion, okay, on this as a former Russian person?
I'll tell you what. Back in 2018, I had to return to Russia for a while, yeah, like for a few months. And I was working in Airbridge yet again. That was my second time working in Airbridge. Volga Dnepr. You must know them under this name. So, and the majority of the colleagues are from Ulyanovsk, were from Ulyanovsk or Krasnoyarsk. That's where they have been based before they built an office in Moscow. Yeah. And I asked my colleagues like directly, okay? Some of them were like relatively normal. I asked them, hey, how is it happening? Since 2014, I remind you, it was 2018. Yeah. I was like, hey, listen, how is it possible that since 2014, you guys having major burials, major people like mortalities, multiple mortalities, unexplained graves. Yeah, what is happening here? Why everyone is silent? And they told me, like, partially because they buy them out. Yeah, it was again before, yeah, before everything started. So some of them are being bought out, some of them are being silenced out. So for those who are not, not have a lot of principles regarding their own kids, like it's okay, like well, another one is coming at me. Yeah, so they were silenced by apartments, let's say, by giving out like valuables and all. And others were just silenced by uh, let's say if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll end up in the hot water. That's it. That's what I heard. So everyone knew at that time already that there were major mortalities, major losses. Yeah, like people were dying as nothing. Yeah, like flies, literally. Yeah, and everyone was okay with that. I mean, not everyone, but majority. You see the overall, yeah, of the answer. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
cool.
remember, you remember the amount, the scale of the losses of the Russian army back then. You know it as no one else, right? So just imagine. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. How to translate this amazing Russian saying "Бабы еще нарожают"? The women will breed more.
I'll tell you what. The similar saying belongs to Saddam Hussein, if I'm not mistaken, right? He said that the main weapon of the Arabs, of the Arabian people, is the womb of Arabian woman.
Something like that. That can be applied to
Yeah,
Russia 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
They have this very popular saying, "Бабы еще нарожают." The women will
We're gonna
breed
get
more.
more.
Yeah, the women will
Yeah. We're
breed
gonna
more.
breed
In
more.
any case, we will have more, which is actually. A very interesting topic, considering the fact that majority of the healthy Russian population is now being slaughtered in the absolutely reckless Russian meat-assaults. Yeah, let's celebrate together with Russians the very fact that they are becoming good in such numbers and actually sending all they can and dancing and struggling around Pokrovsk, a tiny town, and they cannot do pretty much nothing. Pokrovsk is much smaller than Bakhmut. Actually, Pokrovsk is. I've been to Pokrovsk multiple times myself. It's it's a tiny place. All right, it's a very tiny place. So let's continue with our updates. Let's not get carried away, all right? Indian energy company Khmel, that one is nice,
Emil?
HMEL, informed about their decision to stop the future Russian procurement, the future procurement of the Russian oil due to the latest sanctions, according to Economic Times. We can see that the sanctions didn't even start working yet. However, some good results can be observed already. Minister of the Recovery of Stolen Toilets is mentioning beavers in the chat. We will talk about beavers in just a while, I promise. My God. Let's check out what else. Duncan Stewart says, "Hey Starsky, 1% of the nation has been coded trying to take your nation." Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bridget, Morgan, Bridget, how are you doing? Roman Stingler, I wish Operator Starsky would make us all some shawarma. I would love to. Seriously, I don't mind having some shawarma myself, because I am already starving since yesterday. Josh in NC says that explains why he gets along with the current president. Could be, actually. Like, absolutely. All right. What else? Steve
Sorry,
saying,
Mr. Goldfinger's Gaming says, how do the Russian women feel about being treated like a baby producing machines? Let me answer you, actually. No one likes it, right? But actually, let's put it like that. Yeah. There are a lot of women, right? There are a lot of people who consider baby producing to be the major goal in life, okay? I don't think like this, okay? But this is again my personal opinion. And if we're saying about how they feel about it, some of them are happy because they can, produce a baby in the age of 16, 15, and considering of course, it's not gonna lead them anywhere. It's nothing good in Russia about that. But again, they have this illusion, so they're gonna get paid, and that's sad actually. People don't look further than like payment. What kind of like you treat your baby, like you trade your baby, okay, your hypothetical baby. Again, it doesn't mean that you don't want it. It's a life creature, right? That's a human being, future human being, and you just have it because payment. And but the funniest part, just the last week they stopped this underage maternity payments. That's it. It's done.
That's interesting.
Oops.
Did you see that episode? Remember, there's Zolkin and also Dima who actually interviewed the Russian prisoners in Ukrainian prison. And there was this episode with Roma, captured captain of the Russian army, who actually called his parents, and his parents didn't want to recognize him because they already received payment. And he's like, Mama, that's me, Roma, you see my face, my tattoos and everything. She's not, no, you're not Roma, fuck you, you're a bitch,
Yeah, we
you're not.
already got our Lada. What you talking about?
Oh my God, this is so amazing. Oh, okay. Extelis ask a very interesting question. We should ask Starsky, do frontline infantry kiss better than artillerymen? I have no idea. I've never kissed them. Thank God. I would tell you, all right? I would share my experience, but thank God I never did that, all right? So, what else? Let's return to our topic, all right? Minister of Defense of Belgium said that in case Russia is striking some of the capital cities of NATO members, the Moscow will be razed completely. The Russian embassy in Belgium called this statement of Theo Franken provocational and reckless. However, at the same time, Medvedev also called to strike Brussels with nuclear weapons. We will talk about it just a bit later. All right. Some of Ukrainian experts, including Mr. Penzin, who says that some of Ukrainian experts are saying that Russia is preparing to the mobilization, and Ukrainian economist Penzin actually confirms this. He says that Russia already assigned specific budget, all right, to mobilize 2 million reservists and increase the number of draft personnel by 150,000 orcs. What do you think about
If
this?
they have so many orcs actually to mobilize, that's another question. Because you remember we talked about it, right? The number of people is not what it used to be. And I understand that this is what they want, in fact, yeah, this 150,000 newly mobilized recruits. But let's see what they actually managed to. We knew about it, right? We knew about it right away. I mean, of course, we knew about these multiple waves of mobilization. It's not that it came by surprise, right? But let's see how many people they are actually going to have. That's the interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, for example, there is a small percentage of people who actually doesn't want to go to Ukraine and die, even for those big money that Putin is paying them. However, again, we've seen over the past several weeks that even Russian regions are now decreasing the preliminary payment for signing the Russian contract with the Russian Ministry of Stolen Toilets. And they will not be paying them as much as previously, because Russian budget is basically a joke this year and next year, spending 40% on the war and things like that. And at the same time, there's like this small percentage of people who actually they think about like, well, yeah, well, maybe they look at all this propaganda. They think, yeah, maybe I will go to Ukraine and like snatch myself a toilet. But then they watch a bunch of footage on the social media in the Telegram showing like those roads of deaths. All right, for example, in Pokrovsk area, in Dobropilya, right? They see Russian army supplied with donkeys and golf carts. They, like those that are smarter, they think like, no, fuck that shit, I will not go. So mobilization is actually a chance for Putin to actually take them in the army and actually force them to go and die for his ambitions in Ukraine, die somewhere under Pokrovsk. So some, I don't know, crazy person in the chat could like, yay, celebrate their heroic death. And draft of the, we are talking about the conscripts, all right, the young Russian soldiers. Well, that very fact that they are mobilizing them, that they increase their number, tells me that they will actually be using them in the military, in the combat operations, because we've already seen that happening many, many times, and most probably this is happening because they calculated the probable response from the Russian mothers, all right, and they realized that actually, all right. There were like hundreds of their conscripts captured in the first months of the Russian invasion in 2022. Russians were like, meh. Then the Kursk operation, again, hundreds of Russian conscripts, young guys, some of them basically like 18, all right, also were captured. Russian mothers were like, meh, you know. And this time it will work as well, because what sort of punishment does a Russian conscript receive if he's, for example, taken or captured as a prisoner of war by Ukrainians? He goes to jail, he receives a lot of food, he receives medical treatment. I don't know, he has bad teeth, he has his teeth fucking
Dental
fixed for
care,
free.
exactly, yes.
Yeah. He has access by the Red Cross and everything else. So basically, there's nothing to be afraid of, all right? Like they take them, they throw them in the meat grinder. If they give up, then Ukrainians just take care of them, all right? We're like, I don't know, fucking foster parents here in Ukraine sometimes, you know. So I think that's the case. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I think that the very fact that more and more Russians keep supporting the Putin's invasion of Ukraine, 65% as of today, which is almost 15% bigger than 2 years ago. That actually shows that even the position of the Russian mothers is also changing. I might be
Yeah.
wrong, yeah, but you know
Yes and
better.
no. Yes and no. You're right, actually. Okay. This is like a separate steps we need to take. Okay. Step number one. Yes, you're absolutely right. The support of Putin, based on all the sociological surveys, right, uh, has raised it significantly. But first of all, this is Center A, Levada Center, and all these beautiful centers which we should not be trusted into. Okay, so they can sign with anything. 146%. This is their artwork. We remember all this. We should not forget. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, Russia is gonna get punished not by mothers per se, but by the by the consequences of their action. Yeah, is like uh, several percent, like several dozens percent, like of the male population is gone by now. So you can imagine, so they're gonna never produce any children, any babies, yeah, they are not going to produce any more population. So this part of population is extracted, excluded from reproductive system, right? So basically, what they need And that's why they initiated these multiple programs of repatriation, of better, better conditions for migration and all this. Yeah. But migrants are not going to fight for Putin because they are so-called like sausage immigrants, right? They came here for food. They didn't come here for to die for that. So basically, yeah, but you are absolutely right. The response from like mothers themselves, since they are already part of the system, yeah, and they are already in the system, which is frightening, frightening by itself. Yeah, maybe not that significant, but in future, okay, in 5, 10 years, we will see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree on that. And Sophie in the chat asks, I'm studying up on the Russian occupation of Afghanistan during the 80s. The position of the Russian mothers seems to have changed, or has it? And it's a very interesting point because when Russians invaded Afghanistan, actually, they were not just Russians, there were also plenty of Ukrainians. All right, because Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, it was occupied by Russia, and actually, not only Russian mothers protested, Ukrainian mothers protested as well, big time. You probably know one thing about Ukrainians. We are kind of rebellious nation, which is advantage and disadvantage at the same time. All right, like we're natural born anarchist, which something I don't really enjoy, but it's just a fact. That's like who we are. And do you know why Ukrainians never fill the internet applications? Because Ukrainians don't submit like ever, and
Don't
like
give
again
up, yeah.
that's just a fact, all right, of who we are. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia actually lost the core of its Red Army, all right, the Ukrainian army, which now it's fighting against, all right. And basically, the mother's opinion changed big time. One thing that we should also mention is that, again, let me remind you that Russia is saying over and over again that the evil West is trying to destroy it. I don't know, Donald Trump literally parachuting at night, going into the sewers and destroying the sewage systems in Omsk, all right, himself personally. And they are very, very wrong, because if NATO wanted to do that, they would, of course, use all of their might, all their informational resources. They would directly target Russian mothers with their informational power and make them talk, all right? But NATO countries don't do that, unfortunately, all right? Unfortunately, they don't do that. But that would be cool. And that is why today we can see this very interesting attitude among the Russian mothers. Like, why have kids if you can have Lada? Like, seriously, like, Roma, fuck you, you're not Roma, you're a fucking bitch, I don't have a son anymore, I have beautiful Lada, I have a bunch of riba, I have like this kartoshka and kapusta, but fuck you, bitch, you're not Roma, alright. Okay, let's continue with Sophia. Did you want to comment on
I'm
that?
sorry, yeah, I need to fly for 3 minutes and I'm coming back.
All right. Yeah, let us know. Um, so let's stretch my ugly face just a bit here on the full screen. All right. Her name reminds me of a character in an old HBO show, Carnival, Sophia, who was the daughter of a Russian priest. Yeah. That Lada going make her a granny. No, it won't, but who gives a damn, right? She has wheels for free. Like, she only had to, give a birth to a dude, raise him just a bit, and basically now she has a car. Such an interesting investment, all right? What else? Okay, let's continue with imagine you got a Lada, but there is no gasoline. Roman, that's one of the issues that a lot of Russian oligarchs are trying to solve. For example, governor of Kursk cannot really understand how can he drive his Porsche down a highway in Kursk if the asphalt for this highway is his Porsche, all right? So there's a lot of dilemmas like that. So the fuel dilemma, of course, is very interesting. Why do I receive notifications from Duolingo? Fuck you, Duolingo. I don't care. All right. Let's see what we have. So, defense minister, like I will be translating English to English for my friends, but multiple drones were spotted above the Belgian airbase. As of yesterday, several unknown Russian drones, right? Unknown Russian drones were spotted over Belgian military base, and surveillance was conducted. I think yesterday we talked about this one, but this sounds like a fresh one. So the guys on the ground, Bakhmut Demon, that is a dude that a lot of Ukrainians are following very, very closely, and he often provides legit information about the situation. He says that as of now, we are actively deflecting Russian attempts to surround Pokrovsk. Again, if we take a look at the map, the Pokrovsk is not surrounded. Of course, Putin yesterday called to actually invite journalists, invite media representatives to show them the situation in Pokrovsk, the situation in Kupiansk. And that's, again, another case of when you don't have what to show yourself, okay, invite journalists to the place where the journalists cannot actually go, right? Because me personally, as a press officer, I would never take them to the area of active combat because we don't want to lose those soldiers, and we also don't want to lose the armed escort, all right? But that's like very, very interesting. Instead of literally showing Russians planting, gloriously planting a flag on the town administration, they say, invite Santa Claus, all right? He will tell you the truth. Not Belgium again. 1.3 GDP per defense in NATO spending. I don't know. To them again, Belgium and Brussels and like conducting all sorts of sabotage, all right, against Brussels. That is something very, very symbolic, because to Russians, Brussels is basically the same curse as Kyiv, all right? Like, they hate Brussels so much. Of course, majority of them have never been there. We are welcoming Sophia back in our chat. Hello, everything good?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So, let's talk about the legendary security service of Ukraine, SBU. They reported that as of this moment, they are investigating 160 Russian war crimes that were committed against Ukraine since the beginning of the Russian full-scale invasion in Ukraine. The SBU started documenting and investigating all those cases. And 160,000 Russian war crimes committed against Ukrainians are basically 85% from all the war crimes committed by Russians against Ukraine that are currently being investigated by all the Ukrainian law enforcement system, all right? So among those are mass strikes on peaceful cities, critical infrastructure, deportation of Ukrainian kids, using the prohibited chemical weapons against Ukrainians, and also inhumane attitude towards Ukrainian prisoners of war, snatching Ukrainian grains, Ukrainian provision, and things like that. So, just to remind you, International Crime Court issued a warrant for Putin's arrest and also arrest of his good friend Maria Lvova Belova, the one that is directly responsible for kidnapping Ukrainian children, forcefully deporting them to the Russian territory, to the occupied territories, and indoctrinating them in the military camps. So basically, there's plenty of Putlerjugend there in the terrorist federation at this point. We have some like very, very long analytical publication here. I think I will not be translating this one. However, there's just a bunch of interesting information. This one comes from Alexei Kopytko from Ukrainian Informational Resistance, who actually describes the situation in Kupiansk and Pokrovsk. Here, for example, he says that Putin stated that the internationally wanted war criminal Putin, otherwise known as Huilo, he stated that he talked to commanders and the minister of the stolen toilets of the terrorist federation, and they are even agreed to stop the fire for 2 or 6 hours or whatever is needed for Ukrainian and international journalists to talk to Ukrainian soldiers there. Situation in Kupiansk and Pokrovsk is absolutely different. In both towns, it's very hard right now. But in Kupiansk, the Russian command is holding the the footholds in the northern part of the town, and they actively burn their troops in the meat assaults. And interesting fact that the majority of the Russian attackers of Kupiansk, they're actually drowning during crossing the Oskol River, because there is absolutely no proper logistics in the area, and the invaders can only fight with what they brought on themselves, which means that they die in big numbers. Actually, again, yay, celebration! All right, because Kupiansk, it's not bigger than Pokrovsk. I think that it's actually smaller, because Kupiansk is literally like a big village. All right,
That's what amazes me, you know. That's what amazes me. Like the Russian government sends people to death like there's no tomorrow. Seriously, like I understand that somebody like started to comprehend what is happening, so they started to understand, yeah, that in a couple of years, like maximum 10 years, they will have the significant loss in population, and this it's not it's irreversible. That's the thing. They will have to. It's gonna be either like a many years, like a dozens of years before the population restores to some level up to a certain extent. But again, I'm not sure how they're gonna solve this problem, or how they're gonna deal with this problem, because you see like population is dropping, like dropping. Yeah, and as you said, like meat storms are still in place, but they didn't learn apparently that this many people is not nice to lose. But again, I have a bunch of questions. I don't have any answers.
Same here, same here. Well,
Yeah.
basically, this is how their new tactics, right? This is how their new tactics work. Yeah, but the only reason to bring the journalists there is to actually take a look at how the Russian troops are spending their last moments in the agony there. So Russian command actually has to show some of the progress since May until November this year, because currently they have ruins of a dozen of Ukrainian tiny villages, as big as 10 houses, all right, and all that was exchanged for thousands and tens of thousands of Russian soldiers, young Russian soldiers, healthy Russian male population that was literally turned into fertilizer for Ukrainian beetroot and tomatoes and also the new sanctions from the United States and all sorts of consequences for the Russian terrorist federation for all the months of their long-range strike on Ukraine. So very first, I predict, and that's according to this expert who wrote this article, very soon they will be calculating the number of the captured area in Ukraine, not in kilometers, but maybe in like millimeters, all right? Because it sounds cooler.
In match boxes, like tattoo in match boxes.
Yeah. Like yesterday, glorious Russian army took control over 1 million square millimeters of the territory, all right, somewhere around this magnificent, biggest village on earth called Krasnopupivka, and the heroes of Krasnopupivka are like liberators of the world from this Western disease. We will see that, I'm sure, because again, 2022, the Russian invaders who invaded Ukraine, they would take approximately 1,000 to 1,200 square kilometers per day, all right? And despite all that progress, that cannot be compared to today, because today we're talking about 10 square kilometers a day, maybe, along the front line that is as long as 1,500 kilometers, something like that. And despite all that progress, again, early in the war, they didn't manage to capture even a single major city in Ukraine. Kherson, they lost Kherson, and if in 2022 the overall occupied territories in Ukraine were approximately 28%, all right? 28% of Ukrainian territory were occupied, except for the major cities. Then today this number is actually 19, all right? So as ChatGPT, it will calculate everything for you. So the question is like, what sorts of victories are they even talking about? But soon probably they will be, they will switch to square millimeters.
Do you know there is a theory? There is a theory on why Russians left Kherson. Yeah. So I'm referring to the video of a blogger called Kevin. No, not Kevin Browen. If I'm not mistaken, he runs the channel Conspiracy Files, and he had a story and a review on Palantir. Palantir is like a paramilitary organization, yeah, in US. Basically, that video was for US citizens in English, so that had nothing to do with us. Like, yeah, but he said that back then when like Russians had to leave, and I stress they had to leave Kherson, yeah, but not because they were afraid of us, which is sad, but okay, we can live with that. But they were scared that, I mean, they were warned that if they don't, okay, Palantir is gonna bring over some of their Wunderwaffe, and they're gonna test some of their Wunderwaffe on glorious Russian army. So to avoid all this, okay, in 24 hours, please execute. Sorry, not execute, like excel. Yeah, please leave.
Please conduct.
It's a theory.
Please conduct the gesture of a goodwill. We decided to invade Ukraine so much, so we decided to leave this place to show that we are a noble army. All right, that was like probably the cringiest moment, actually. And again, almost 3 years since that moment, and they are still struggling over that tiny city.
Yeah,
by the way.
Jason Ryder is asking Palantir is a tech company, but paramilitary. Yes, they have several projects that the Gotham, the Apollo, and other stuff, and they are like exactly like literally paramilitary. They have some military-related contracts with the American government, if I'm not mistaken, but that's related more with the AI development. Military considering AI, something like that. But yes, they are like literally paramilitary because they are not military, but still they're in the military.
That's interesting. So we have another update coming from Ukraine that actually closed its embassy in Havana in Cuba, according to the Foreign Minister Sybiga, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Sybiga. The reason for closing that embassy was because basically the government of Cuba became a strategic asset of Russia. Thousands of Cuban soldiers are fighting against Ukraine. And basically, Havana is helping the terrorist federation to evade sanctions. And also, there's a tiny quote from our minister who reminded that we should all remember that amazing wish made by Cuban president. He wished Putin success in his aggressive war in Ukraine. Well, I wish Cuban president to wish him more success, because the more success he wishes to Putin, the more of his orcs have to bring donkeys to the front lines, because that is absolutely cringy. Russian success is. It's amazing. So yesterday, the special forces of Ukraine reported on strike in Mariinsky, NPZ, Novospassky, and NPZ, oil refineries. Mariinsky oil refinery, Novospassky, and Budyonovsky gas-producing facility. We can see that the photos on our screens. All right. And interesting case actually was revealed yesterday again by the legendary security service of Ukraine, who actually detained a foreign instructor, a foreign military coach that was training Ukrainian troops. They detained him because he worked for the Russian FSB. So the counter-espionage service and investigators of the security service of Ukraine detained a foreign agent of FSB. This man was recruited by the Russians, and he comes from one of the European countries, actually. According to the case, this gentleman was passing the information and was preparing to conduct terrorist attacks, according to this case. So the investigators concluded that in the beginning of 2024, this man, having a military background, having skills in tactical theory, he arrived to Ukraine to work as an instructor and preparing the mobilized Ukrainian men. And after several months, he stopped doing that. And in order to receive easy money, he started offering his services to the Russian secret services, to the Russian terrorists, and he left a specific announcement in different pro-Kremlin internet groups. So eventually he was contacted by Russian FSB that recruited him and started giving him tasks. So among other things, this man passed information regarding the international instructors training the Ukrainian defenders that he had opportunity to talk to earlier, and also coordinates of training centers of the armed forces of Ukraine in the southern Ukraine, where he was training the mobilized Ukrainian defenders. And also the Russian FSB sent him an instruction of preparing an IED, and also they sent him coordinates of a specific place where a handgun with 2 magazines were left for him. So the SBU operatives detained this individual, and basically he will face approximately 12 years behind bars with confiscation of his property. How cool is that? Well, again, guys, the Russian terrorists most probably decided to get rid of him eventually after receiving all the information, because we know about this very, very interesting tradition of the Russian FSB when they literally give you instructions on how to create a remotely detonated bomb, and then when you arrive to the spot, it detonates, eliminating the object, the target, and yourself. This is the way they eliminated a bunch of teenagers in Ukraine, by the way, by offering them easy money and stuff like that. And this plague is actually expanding towards European countries, unfortunately. We can see the growing number of such cases committed in other countries, in European countries, and that's absolutely dangerous.
That's the thing. They're not better than Islamic people. Okay, I'm sure they are from the same field, from the same playground. Because you know that the Islamic like instructors, let's
ISIS. Let's call them.
Yeah, they're known.
Let's call them for
yeah. They're known for brainwashing young adults, yeah, and seriously like brainwashing, because these young adults, they are educated, yeah, they're not coming from the low life, and the only thing that they can capture them with is like ideas. Okay, for some people, I started, I was thinking actually a lot on why people collaborate with them. Like I'm coming from Russia. Yeah, I would never trust Russia. I'm telling you, I was never afraid. I am not afraid of Ukrainian army. I'm not afraid of SBU. I'm not afraid of anyone. Okay, if that would be the question raises for me to get deported, I will come step in SBU office and say I'm not leaving. Like, do what you want. I'm not leaving. Yeah, because no one can. Russia cannot be trusted. Yeah, and like you said, the only end, yeah, the only happy end which is expected for the collaborators is a death, and be thankful you died easily. Yeah, and not, yeah, also, like we know. But that's the thing. The only way, the only motive I can come up with these people is like in Ukraine, like they want out. Yeah, people are really tired. They're tired of everything. I'm not saying that they're tired of war. They're tired of the whole thing. Yeah, it's been like since 2014. Yeah, it's 11 years. People are really, really tired. And whenever, somebody comes up and says, hey, I can make you life easy. I want to offer you a way out. It's not difficult. You just do little things, and then you get your money, and then you go wherever you want. I understand that with the Europeans, and when they saw bombings, Islamic bombings, yeah, this is like slightly different, because those people are really, really educated, but they have something called, some trigger, okay, because they've been raised with Islamic views, okay, and when they hear certain ideas, they're not really straightforward, but there are some, yeah, they immediately trigger, and this triggers a response like, that's my duty, I have to do it. Yeah, and here's the same thing. Basically, they know how to deal with people. That's their specialty. Yeah.
They know it very, very well. But thank God you're here, all right? Thank God you're here with us. And I think that you know better than anyone else. Remember that quote of, my God, what was his name? The dude who said, «Россия – это хаос дерьма и смерти».
Example?
Русский мир – это хаос дерьма и смерти. Russian world is a chaos of shit and death. And basically, that's true. That's like 100% true.
Yeah.
We have commentary from Excel is venomous. Can Gripen be equipped with surströmming cluster munitions? I bet they can, all right. I bet everything's possible, all right. After like a glass or two of Ukrainian horilka with pepper, anything can be possible. Surströmming is actually a lethal weapon. I know a real case, all right, a real case, which is like no bullshit, of guys who actually attached a tin can of surströmming and dropped it in the Russian position, just for giggles. But That was, oh my God, oh my God.
Was a
Did
lot of
you?
fun, I guess.
I guess I bet the Russian invaders in that position. They were like, who spilled the perfumes, right? Uh, did you ever try surströmming, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Did you ever try surströmming?
Did I ever try what? Sorry, I probably
Surströmming.
not.
So that's fermented fish from Sweden.
Ah, this like a lutefisk. Yeah, I tried some, but not exactly this one. Yeah, yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you survive? What's your secret?
Oh, yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
A couple of years ago, we decided to make this event with the guys. There were a lot of Ukrainian and pro-Ukrainian bloggers, military bloggers who came to Kiev, and it was exactly 2 years ago, 2023, exactly 2 years ago. Brandon Mitchell brought a bunch of surströmming that fermented so much, so there wasn't even fish in those tin cans. There were literally like just a lot of juice and bones, and they open those, and the geyser starts, just
Ah,
spraying. Yeah, holy fuck. I remember who puked. Johnny FD almost vomited. Arthur Rehi, I don't really remember him vomiting. Like he's Estonian guy, right? Like he doesn't give a fuck. But I saw his confidence a bit like shattered. All right. Andrew Mercado. Well, I don't blame him. All right, because Andrew had like a big glass, and we were drinking it. We were not even eating it, all right, because it was literally
mm.
juice, all right. We were trying to drink it. Holy! And then Brandon literally hugged me, and Brandon was covered in this surströmming, and he hugged me when I was going home. And I shit you not, my leather jacket, it's still in the back of my car. 2 years later, it still smells, all right? Still smells like surströmming. That was
I
absolutely
believe
insane.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was an interesting experience. That's, by the way, when I met Angelika Bayer. She was standing like 20 meters away, smoking, trying to suppress the smell. Oh, that was fantastic. That was just so good. Okay, switching to more of the updates. This is something again that we're talking about today. According to the Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation, according to all the messages,
Comprehend. Yeah.
yeah, all the
Disposable legends.
yeah, all the information coming from European media, Russian terrorists are using Telegram to quickly recruit the executors of different small sabotage acts around European countries. It was reported that Russian media resources consciously involving audience from other social networks into the Telegram in order to target their propaganda and recruit users for all sorts of one-time operations. All right. That is something that I was talking about last week. That's something that I was talking about in the Weapons of War on the UATV. And actually, we got to raise awareness about this one because the drones that are flying all of a sudden somewhere over military bases, over European airports and things like that, that's not just a coincidence. That's literally Russians recruiting the disposable agents, all right, for like short tasks, offering short money. And in many cases, of course, those are dangerous because specifically the tasks that involve all sorts of incendiary packages with incendiary devices and explosive devices, they often result in the people that carry out those operations being eliminated as well. So that's something extremely, extremely dangerous. Russians will recruit a lot of vulnerable people, a lot of teenagers, for example, to join Telegram. They will recruit people that can be easily influenced or easily controlled. They will be offered money. They will be offered different valuable gifts. People who that are looking for like a dose or something will be offered drugs and stuff like that. So Russians know very, very well how to influence those people, how to recruit them, and we have to raise awareness about this one, because this stuff is actually very, very dangerous. Russians will not be using their own specifically trained imbeciles for that. They will be literally sitting like behind computers somewhere in Moscow and remotely recruiting the people from the European countries, paying them or offering them money, all right, and pressing a button. So that's something we should all remember. So now, let's talk just a bit about poor Joe Rogan, because this information is not for him. All right. That, like, let's not talk to Joe Rogan about this one, because we will be talking about the arms race. Recently, Russian war criminal Vladimir Putin, again widely known as Huilo around the world, he reported that not only they already involved their intercontinental, supersonic, super orthodox Russian nuclear weapon Sarmat. All right, and not only they already use it, all right, to ensure safety of the terrorist federation, but also they already finished testing the submarine nuclear torpedo called Poseidon. So that's immediately after another report on finishing testing the Russian Burevestnik nuclear weapon. And that stuff is cringy as fuck, because first of all, as far as I remember, Sarmat was tested several times over the past couple of years. Both times it failed. If you remember that amazing footage of let's just remind our viewers, all right, Sarmat test, oh my god, let's just remind our dear viewers how exactly it looked like. So this amazing crater that you can see on your screen, that is basically all that remained from a Russian test site, all right? Like this was a silo. Here you can see it enlarged, all right? This was a test silo that the Russian missile was supposed to go like and fly. All right, take off, lift off, all right, from the silo, but something went wrong, and basically this missile exploded, all right, without going anywhere. I don't know how to translate this beautiful phrase that a Russian priest said, I think like 10 years ago or something like that, when Roscosmos was testing their missile that was supposed to bring like very, very expensive satellites to the orbit, and the missile collapsed during live. All right, the Russian correspondent was like commenting on the liftoff, and then the missile lifts off, starts stumbling, goes like back down, explodes, and he's like, oh, and they have advertisement, and Russian priest, like famous Russian priest, commenting on this in television, he said that the missile разбилась об небесную твердь.
It got broken down by the sky,
But
by the heaven or earth. By the heaven or earth. No, yeah, earth and
crashed into the sky dome.
it's from the Sky Dome. Yeah, that's nice. Yes. But you remember who was the head of the Roscosmos back then? Our friend
Rogozin.
Mr. Rogozin.
Oh my god.
That Russian that avoided jail back in 2007 after his co-mate, the Jewish guy, went to prison and he went to Roscosmos.
Yeah. Yeah, crash into the sky dome. Like the way they describe this, like they used very, very descriptive and flowery Russian language. It's hard to translate because it's like, our archaic way of like speaking in Russian. Crashed into the heavenly sky dome, something like that.
Yeah,
So
but they just mimicking Islamic people. They just mimicking Islamic people. When I was in Qatar, there is a like a formal sentence. Okay, the reason given on why something happened is like a God's will. God's will, to remind our dear viewers, is a force major. So that's how they mark it. God's will. Like they had a case when the AIC exploded in the nursery. Okay, and not damaged, like harmed, traumatized the baby, and it was like a neglection from the electric company, and they put it on like a God's will.
shit.
So
Yeah,
they just mimicking them.
yeah, we can see a lot of very, very similar features basically between terrorists living on one side of planet with terrorists living on the other side of planet, 100%. Um, there, people already call this Russian missile Burevestnik a Schrödinger missile, all right? It kind of exists, but at the same time it doesn't.
Not.
Yeah, it's very interesting because again, like you can take a look at all those pictures of this Burevestnik lifting off and flying and things like that, but at the same time I saw literally this amazing Photoshop of Ukrainian airplane shooting down a Malaysian MH17 over Donbass that like Russians were presenting as something legit. So we've seen a lot of interesting things. We've seen, for example, Patrick Lancaster literally, I don't know, using bodies from the morgue to show, the atrocities of Ukrainian Nazi. We've seen a lot of shit coming from Russia. We've also heard a lot of shit like MH17 wasn't shot down by book, or even if it was shot down by book, it wasn't our book. And
Ukrainian
if it,
book. We don't know
yeah,
anything about it.
yeah, and if it was if it was our book, it wasn't our missile actually, because that missile was produced in Ukraine. And if it was our missile, then that wasn't MH17. Like those people on board of it were not alive; they were actually zombies. And I shit you not, that they were spreading this. All right, and
Yeah.
and for example, they would take, I don't know, footage of Bucha taken from satellites, all right, with a man that was shot by Russian invaders lying on the ground next to his bike for like 2 weeks. And then they would take some footage from, I don't know, car passing this guy because the body started like this being distorted in the mirror. They would say, "Look, he got up. Oh my God!" So we've seen and heard a lot of different, very, very cringy shit coming from Kremlin. That is why I don't even know how to react to this Burevestnik flying. I literally
Yeah,
have
maybe
no
we don't
idea.
have to actually. That's the thing. Maybe we don't have to. By the way, are you familiar with the conspiracy going around MH17?
Tell me, because I studied that a lot, and I need to know. I need to know your
Okay, so
version.
who came to know about this case, okay, when I was working in Qatar Airways. So I'm telling you from the perspective somebody outside Russia, outside this whole thing, okay? So basically, starting with the Malaysian, sorry, yeah, Malaysian, that's how they call airline. Malaysian lost two aircrafts recently. Not so recent, but then recently, yeah? One was MH370, and another one was MH17, yeah? The problem was MH370 has never been found, as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong now, but it had never been found at that time. So basically, there's a lot of speculation going on that. And you know that some say, okay, this is like a version, that MH17 was like due to insurance purposes, which is through the roof, which is huge, right? So they repainted it, okay, and name it. They gave it a different registration number. Okay, I'm not sure how practically. possible that would be, as I'm not sure, but okay, let's check, yeah. And then they just uh, like they considered the flight over the closed territory, which was closed airspace, and that's why they ended up like that. So there was actually a conspiracy, okay, between Zmova, between the Russian government and the Malaysian, because Malaysian was not doing good at that time, and they needed this insurance money, so they organized this stage up so they could get insurance. That is one thing. Yeah. Next thing is that, but basically this is the main thing in aviation community. All this insurance fraud. So they say like there is a version that all of these MH370, MH17 is two parts of one insurance fraud.
Yeah, that's very, very close to what I was talking about the several streams before, right? Before you joined us. There is like a version, again, I think that you've heard this one, that actually that first MH flight that disappeared, that it actually either crashed or those people on board of it were stolen by CIA, they were unalived, then they were put on board of MH17, and that aircraft,
Yeah. That was.
was launched remotely, over the Donbass, and then Ukrainians staged, this
Yeah.
catastrophe. How fucked up is that? And the worst thing about this is when you think about it, Russians brought air defense system to Ukraine. They fucking killed 298 people like this. People were falling from the sky. A lot of them like lost their consciousness because of the high altitude and stuff like that. Like seats with people still attached to them were falling on the ground. That was fucking hell. I cannot even imagine this shit. Russians, let alone the fact that they will never recognize their own responsibility, all right, over committing this fucking catastrophe. I don't know. It's not even tragedy. It's fucking catastrophe. I don't know how to describe it. But they they involved their whole propagandist machine to produce tons of bullshit about this, to produce photoshops, to produce fake interviews with fake pilots that never existed, and post them over different conspiracy related outlets over the internet, and they didn't give a slightest fuck. Like 300 civilians died on board of that. Fuck them. Let's just, I don't know, create tons of bullshit and try to bury like this horrible, horrible tragedy under literally piles of disinformation and propaganda. And this is something that makes me wanna, like, all that fucking construction called Russian Terrorist Federation to just fucking disappear, alright? That shit is fucking insane. Like the way they treat the human life, alright, the way they react to their very, very own fuck ups. Fuck, there's so many people out there who lost their relatives. I don't know. I've seen some of people in my chat actually who lost their relatives from the Netherlands, who lost their relatives on board of that airplane. And, sitting here and debunking tons of Russian fucking lies about this, that's fucking insane. Like, Russians will never pay compensation for that unless we make them, all right? Russians will never admit the crime they committed unless we make them. And generally, the joint investigation team from the Netherlands that already conducted this investigation, presented it to the European Parliament. I believe after the collapse of the Terrorist Federation, when we will start actually having trials over the Russian war criminals, I really, really wish, those guys to also participate and finally find responsible motherfuckers, because this is something, I don't know, this is something actually very, very personal to me, because, again,
But
there's...
what makes it even worse? That they were not even original in staging up this story, okay, with the corpses loaded on the aircraft. Because this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the story of some either serious or Lost. I think it's Lost. It's called Lost. There's a series named Lost, and this is the story of one of the episodes. And another thing, I saw the comment in chat, Mr. Greg Sippel. Why didn't they try to blame Ukraine for MH17? Yes, they did. And to give you the full picture, okay, you remember that I think there were two aircrafts, okay, shot down by some missile, allegedly Ukrainian missile. One of them was above Black Sea. That was Armavia, Armenian Airlines. Another one was uh, there was something else, but I'll be only talking about Armavia because I know this case. Yeah. So basically, that was a aircraft leased by S7 or given to lease by seven. I think they were related. So this was 320, and it was shot down. Yeah, and the other one was back in 90s when they blamed Ukraine for that. But in fact, that was never known. Yeah, who did that? And there is like in aviation community, there is rumors there. There is like a conspiracy that was shut down by Russians and basically blamed, but they were again green. Okay, because at that time Russia was like in a hot water already, and Ukrainians making an honest mistake would not be that bad. Look that bad in front of foreign countries, and that's why. And Armavia as well. He crashed, and again the same story. Like allegedly Ukrainians shot it down, but what it was, no one knows.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. I researched that one with Armavia, and as far as I remember, there was also they were crossing some kind of closed space in the Black Sea where Russians were actually performing military exercise. I can be I can be wrong because it was like it happened very very long time ago. So. Yeah, Fox News. Fox News would say paid dead actors. Exactly. Like that is so. I don't know. That is so Kremlin-ish. That is just so Kremlin-ish. Oh my God. Uh, so what else do we have, my friends? So let's check out the rest of the updates. We have an update coming from different partisans who actually showcase a bunch of mobile towers in Russia being improved, all right, because the connection in the deep Russian territory requires improvement, and of course, who else can do that better than brave but anonymous partisans? So they said
Hans,
that.
this is the point. These partisans are Russian, potentially Russians with Russian passports. They are from Russia, I'm sure. You remember that other case when the airdrome was set on fire, the couple of aircraft, a lot of aircraft were set on fire, but not the Operation Wobnet, the other time, when like a bunch of teenagers, okay, just got in and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
set
yeah,
on
yeah. Oh my
fire.
God, I remember that one. Yeah.
Please don't miss that. Don't miss the point. Okay, these people are Russians. I mean, there is good Russians, which I see. If you come to Ukraine to fight, you are good Russian. Okay, you are. If you fight government on your own territory, considering all this threat which is coming, constantly hanging over them, these are good Russians. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're brave people generally. They're proper
Yeah,
Russian
exactly,
people, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, they're brave people because actually, like, doing that requires a lot of balls. So, according to the reports over the past months, fires at the mobile stations were reported in Adygea Republic, in Rostov Oblast, Kamchatka, and also on the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea. All right. Those three fingers, by the way, that means a trident. All right. A symbol of freedom and hope for all of us. So, according to Reuters, new sanctions against Lukoil and Rosneft currently didn't change Russian exports so far. Russia keeps transferring its oil through Primorsk, Ust-Luga, and Novorossiysk, in the same quantities. we're talking about 2.3 million barrel per day. But again,
But that's
after
the thing, we know how sanctions work. Okay, this is not something that impresses. It should impress anyone. Yeah, because this is basically we are talking about trade sanctions. These are trading sanctions. These are not like a barrier or these are not stopping sanctions. These are just trade sanctions. It happens. Tell you what, when I was working in Qatar Airways, okay, we dealt a lot with Tehran, with Iran. And basically, you know that they last 40 years they've been under sanctions. Okay, fact how it works. Okay, like we all know that Western countries, considering it, including US, they have a lot of it's called overproduction crisis, and that been going on since early 1880s, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me in the chat. And what they do, okay, they set the so-called sanctions. Okay, Iran is a part of this global machine. Like, to think of it as like a global machine, or where trading ways like coming and going, and all these uh, all this happening. So considering yeah, considering this, okay, they set up an interesting system. When they were doing fine, okay, sanctions were all in place. You couldn't import anything to Iran, okay, apart from some urgent medical care equipment like MRI scanners and all this nonsense, okay. But when they were needing it, okay, they lifted up sanctions for, let's say, 2 weeks, okay. And just to give you some estimates, we used to see cargo coming from Tehran. Normally, it's some perishable products, some cherries, by the way, black cherries, and and all these, and greenery and all this stuff. So, but and livestock as well. But uh, when the sanctions got lifted, you could see like I I raised number of flights to Tehran because everyone was trying to get their products in, no matter what. So normally there would be two flights daily to Tehran, okay? And during this free, like let's say, wave period, okay, the number of flights got increased to 10 to 20, 10 to 20, and each bring in 50 to 100 tons of cargo. You can just like different cargo, yeah, but which you normally could not import, yeah. And like that's what is happening. So this is I would not think too hard on this. Sanctions it's a trading thing, yeah. It's not a deadly thing. Not for anyone. And even these sanctions, when Iran had been under them like for the last 40 years, even them are being lifted in a certain period when world community needs it. So that's how it normally works, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, people remind there in the publication that everything actually may change after the 21st of November when those sanctions actually become active, because currently not a single sanction that was placed by the United States on Russia is working officially. They gave
Exactly.
the trading the partners of the partners in trade, all right, of the terrorist federation to actually either reroute their businesses or cease their trading operations with Russian oil companies. Otherwise, they will face those sanctions on 21st of November. And speaking of this nose right there on the screen, holy fuck! Imagine like this guy is like 1 meter 5 centimeters tall. He's like 5 foot tall. All right, when he jumps, and like the amount of evil, all right, radiated from this face is absolutely fucking staggering. I seriously, I feel like you can charge water, when you put or actually. Like when you are if you're sitting very very close to the screen, you can actually get drunk, or right, from this energy that is radiated by this tiny evil man. So this man
Like
who
this. Used to be like this. Yeah, it used to be like this void rice with this. Do you want war? Like, yes, you want total war. This whole thing. he got himself drunk to the stage where he doesn't look like he doesn't resemble boy Dres anymore, and this is sad. We are sad.
Yeah, absolutely. So this evil man, he actually called in his social media. He called to strike Brussels. Thank God he didn't call to strike United States, because otherwise we would see, I don't know, Joe Rogan parachuting somewhere over the Antarctic. All right, Joe Rogan, we will all fucking die. Imagine this is nuclear power. It's not a joke. You maggots, Ukrainians, you have to finally give up. You have to finally just give up and die and stop being Ukrainians and give Russians everything, because I cannot fucking sleep at night, all right? I cannot, my weed doesn't help, to deal with my depression when I think about Russian nuclear weapons. All right, so this dude, holy fuck, oh my god.
He's evil. I think he's hilarious. I mean, come on. He's like, no, Moisey, oh my God, little child. Are we angry? Why are we angry?
Yeah,
What's wrong with you?
you wanna literally like pinch his cheek, all right? Like you're
Yeah,
so
exactly.
little angry man. So he called to strike Belgium, and the reason he called to strike Belgium was basically because he was bragging about the new Russian Poseidon nuclear torpedo, and he said that the Poseidon is the weapon of the Judgment Day. Basically, I have clear understanding why they let Medvedev speak, all right? First of all, one interesting fact about Medvedev is that is Twitter banned in Russia? Please remind me.
No, no, I don't think so. I don't think Twitter's banned.
Because I
At
know
least on the
that
latest information.
Yeah, because I know that they called Facebook and Instagram extremist resources,
Correct.
Roskomnadzor. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, well, Twitter, they will not ban Twitter because, again, Elon Musk allows all sorts of fuckers spread their bullshit there. Khamenei, for example, if we're talking Iran, all right, in Iran, Twitter is completely banned for people. People can only access Twitter in Iran using VPN because it's called like fascist Western whatever, and people are not allowed. It's banned officially, all right? But Khamenei has account on Twitter, and he posts, maybe not himself, but some responsible people post on behalf of Khamenei. How fucked up is that? Same, I don't know, Kim Jong-un, I might be wrong, but I think even fucking Kim Jong-un has an account on Twitter.
Could be as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, anyways. So this dude calling to get rid of Western technologies because they're not orthodox, they're not Russian. Russian people should not use iPhones and English language and stuff like that.
Is he
Oh,
Kaczynski or what? Is he Kaczynski? Is he a reborn Kaczynski or lost win of him? You see the familiar rhetorics. We've heard this before.
yeah. So this dude is actually big fan of iPhones himself, and I
Yeah.
think that of course, he uses iPhone, for his very own needs. Which, by the way, I will tell this because I cannot keep silent. This reminds me of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and RFK. So fucking bad because. Did you know that Donald Trump is vaccinated? JD Vance is vaccinated. RFK is fucking vaccinated. Why are they calling, people to stop being vaccinated from corona? I have literally no idea, but it's kind of the same shit, all right, to me. So, what else did this amazing man said? So, earlier, Minister of Defense of Belgium, as we already mentioned, he said that NATO will completely erase Moscow if Putin attacks NATO. And some of the users in Twitter actually asked Medvedev to punish Belgium and test the Poseidon nuclear torpedo on this country, and then he said Belgium will disappear. So on their way to Belgium, on their way to Washington and everything else, on their way to the world domination, the only thing that stops Russian at this point is basically a tiny village of Kupiansk and tiny village of Pokrovsk. All right. So also, as a response to all this fucking shit, President of United States stated that United States will start immediate testing of nuclear weapons because other countries are testing them, their very own nuclear weapons. Donald Trump also ordered United States Army to actually test their nuclear weapons as well. Because we can see an increase among the terrorist countries and terrorist regimes, increase in this, nuclear saber rattling, and I just cannot really explain this one. Ukraine was the only there's like Tim Pool who spits in the camera screaming that Ukraine is the biggest evil, all right, in Europe and stuff like that. But generally speaking, Ukraine is the only country that I can think of that starting 90s, together with Kazakhstan actually, that voluntarily decided to give up their nuclear weapons in order to make people like Joe Rogan sleep peacefully at night, all right? Because let's be honest, all sorts of Ukrainian ICBMs, whether Ukraine had access codes or didn't have access codes to those ICBMs, which I believe they did, all right? They had missiles, and modifying or whatever is just a technical question. Let's be honest, they were all aimed at places like Philadelphia, all right, I don't know, Dallas, New York, Washington, and it was a right thing for Ukrainians because we were like, all right, yesterday we were aiming at those, today we're not, all right, we're your partners, we're your friends, finally this fucked up Soviet Union collapsed and we can finally stop doing this crazy shit. So Ukraine is and Kazakhstan are the only countries that voluntarily decided to give up their nukes in return for security guarantees. That's something that we need to remind our Western audiences more and more, all right, because people like, I don't know, Anna Paulina Luna and Mrs. Owens often forgot about those. Okay, so this was the final update of the day. Let's talk about food, all right? Because this morning I had a cutlet, all right, and that's all I had. What did you have?
Only had coffee. So my breakfast is yet to come. Since I work for Americans, I live under American EST, so my morning is about to start.
You're working for the evil West. I suspected that.
Foreign agent, I am. I mean, in fact, yeah. But that's okay.
This is so cool, actually. I have a lot of different comedy stand-ups and skits on my channel in the shorts, all right, in the shorts section. And I actually wanted to create this shorts, series of shorts dedicated to the evil West, all right? Like the dude decided to start working for the evil West, and he goes to this office of evil West, to sign contract to become this evil Nazi gay satanist
West agent, yeah.
yeah, and start fighting against the beautiful terrorist motherland,
yeah, motherland.
Yeah. So I gotta think about this one. Generally, I think I should revive the shorts section, probably. So let's check out some of the commentaries. Steve, that's cutlet. That's it was a pork.
Meatball.
Like meatballs. Yeah. Germans call them frikadellen, and we also call them frikadellen. All right, like
Yeah. But the
yeah,
smaller version. The bigger version is called cutlet, and I think it's cutlet all around the world.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I had. Not much actually. I think that I should throw a bit more. Um, Generally, what do you consume? All right, I think our viewers need to know this because my channel, it's only partially dedicated to news updates and everything else. 50% we're talking about beavers, food, and shit.
Well, that's interesting. Um, well, if you allow me to express like one of my ideas, okay? Like yesterday and day before I was reading. I texted you this one before actually. I'm sorry, I can't like not share it. This is so stupid. I cannot keep it to myself. I want everyone to be aware of my stupidity. So basically, do you guys know that young actress that died back in 1947, like Elizabeth Short, right? And it was a cold case until recently, until they discovered that there was a person involved in that incident. And basically, but they couldn't establish the direct connection. They only worked on the indirect evidence. But anyway, I got an idea, okay, and basically just to give you the sign of what it was before, okay. They had like playground, or they had like a bunch of people, the artistic people, like surrealist artists and like scientists and all Hollywood stars and celebrities, okay, gathering together at the house at that place, okay, where that person in question allegedly lived. And yeah, and considering that she wasn't really a brilliant actress, okay, and maybe like what I thought there was a way, this was her way, or to get herself immortalized or canonized, because she did become a canonized person, yeah, not in the way that she expected probably, but she became that. And yeah, that's what I was thinking. How possible that is, how probable that is, that her murder was voluntary, in consent.
There's always such possibility. If I was an investigator investigating this case, that would probably be one of the versions.
Yeah, but because they now know who is involved, not responsible, but involved in her death. Yeah, and basically, like considering all this environment, all this sort of people, and the mindset of these people, as esoteric and everything, like Alistair Crowley at that time, and all this Elena Blavatsky and all this nonsense. Yeah, considering all this that they were involved, deeply involved in, they were practicing something, some orgies and all this stuff, some trials and rituals and everything. So that's something that I was thinking about, like how possible it be that they like in consent. Yeah, this was like not like we're not talking that somebody's bad or good. Yeah, we're just speculating on what happened. Yeah, without giving any judgments. So yeah, that was my thought. Now you know that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Nine Moon Planet actually hit a weak spot. All right, sushi. Now we'll see if he's hungry. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you very, very much for this one. We had a question from Sarah. What do Ukrainians have for breakfast? What do we have for
Coffee,
breakfast?
eggs, coffee, syrniki. They call them pancakes,
Cheese pancakes.
cheese pancakes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cottage cheese pancakes, and then crepe crepes, like a thin pancakes, crepes, and yeah, cereal, maybe porridge, like everyone else, I guess. There's difference in Western, let's say, in Eastern European diet. I don't think so. There is some, but not significant anymore.
I think so. My lady, for example, I want crepes and pancakes all the time. Like
Mm.
I have this craving all the time, and I can eat them like 24 hours. And my lady always considers them like breakfast. All right, like when I take her home and we arrive home and I go, let's have fucking pancakes with jam, with plum jam. She's like, but it's breakfast. What the fuck? Like, who cares if it's breakfast? I don't know. So what? Okay, we have a very very important question here. Wait a minute. Per Haglind asks, what are you going to have for lunch today? What's your version?
I watched there's some chili. I think there's some chili coming.
Chili, nice.
Yeah.
What kind? How? What does it look like?
It looks like a stew, basically, like a dense stew. Okay, maybe like a curry, but curry is more liquidish. Yeah, so yeah, like a dense, dense something.
Like chili con carne?
Chowder. Oh, sorry.
Like chili con carne?
That's it. That's exactly it.
Nice, nice. I had chili con carne in Ukraine in 2006, like
Oh,
ma-
wow.
many years ago. Yeah, that was so good. We had this amazing restaurant called Babcia Conchita, Grandma Conchita, and they would offer things like burritos. They would offer things like grilled beef ribs, and those ribs were very cool because they were with meat. So they were hot and spicy, but at the same time they were with honey sauce. Oh my God. Then chili con carne, and of course they had this very interesting sauce made out of tomato juice and enormous amount of pepper inside. Like that shit was burning. You eat. First of all, it tasted like rocket fuel, and then you drink it, and the next day your ass feels very very sorry about that. Like your rear regrets it because you can literally burn a hole on the back of your pants with that. And it was so good with burritos, Jesus Christ. And you have to take this sauce, and you would always order like milkshake together with it, because in order to extinguish the fire burning inside. That was so good.
Well,
Oh my God.
you know how Indians got out of their super spicy foods. Yeah, they cheat. I figured that they cheat. They take a lot of sour milk with that, aban or like a regular sour milk, but they like a homemade. Okay, and that's because no human being alive can take this much spiciness.
Yeah, yeah. Diamond Planet says Ukrainians eat kasha for breakfast, a kind of porridge. My friend, that's not kind of
Sometimes
porridge. That's literally porridge. Kasha
that's
is,
literally porridge. Yeah.
yeah, kasha is a porridge. When I was in Italy, when I was a tiny kid, I spent about a month living in Italy with an Italian family, and I remember my coolest memories about this period was when in the morning we would have like a big bowl of milk with cereal, and also I searched for those, I cannot find them. They were selling like square shaped like toasts. All right, it was like black dried bread, like toasts, and they were tiny and crunchy, and we would take Nutella and like literally put it on top of those and have them with Coke or with coffee. That was just so good, and I cannot find those in the stores, but they were really cool. What's your best memory about your childhood in terms of cuisine?
I don't have any, to be honest, but I remember my like worst actually like culinary experience was in China. It wasn't bad by itself. It's just like you imagine, we came there like around 4 in the morning. Okay, at 6 in the morning you had to get up because you had a breakfast at the hotel. Okay, so if you miss it, you're gonna be starving till the next morning. So basically, and we came down. Okay, there was like a buffet on that, like a breakfast buffet, and they had no coffee. Their suites were, this it's a five-star hotel, no coffee. They had some uh, cakes and sponge cake, and the rest was typical provincial, like deep down provincial Chinese food. all like fries, a lot of spiciness. Okay, and this was breakfast. You remember, you come down hoping for a big cup of coffee and some cake and maybe some eggs, and you come down to this. Yeah, big disappointment.
Yeah, that's disappointing, 100%, and unfortunate. And secretly, all right, I will confess, secretly, I have these food talks on my channel in order to torture my dear family there in the chat just a bit. But I always fail because every time I have those talks, I'm fucking hungry myself. And I think that it's probably a good time to wrap it up, because I will consume myself from inside. All right. So, my dear friends and family, first of all, Sophia, thank you so much for joining us this morning as well. As always, a lot of interesting insights coming from you. And again, it's very, very cool to have you here with us. And also, dear moderators, thank you so much for staying with us. Ali, please go and have some sleep if you haven't yet. Newman, thank you so much. And Katie, big thanks. And also big thanks to everyone who supports Ukraine, everyone who supports my channel, which is less important than supporting Ukraine, all right? And big thanks to all the friends and family there in the chat watching us every single time. It's a pleasure to have you here. Sophia, do you want to say a couple of words?
Yeah, and thanks again for the great stream. It was like real cool, real fun being with you guys, and I hope to see you next time.
Likewise, likewise. All right, my dear friends and family, thank you so much. We'll see you later. As always, be safe, and as always, treat yourself with something good. All right, we all deserve that, especially me. We all deserve that, and we will see you next time. Bye bye, and as always, be safe.